Nah, but so Iron Man is not the most popular Marvel superhero.
Nope.
Yet he is credited with starting the MCU.
Yep.
Why? Right? It's because in a really good movie that was relatively accurate to the comic books and had a really good adaptation for live action. What they did is behind the scenes, because you wouldn't expect it, because he's not the biggest, hypest name, right? Slid some shit in it that's like, oh, there's more to this, right? Awesome. Now, how do you replicate that on DC? Okay, this is what you do. You take a character who's not the most popular not the most popular Marvel character, but is a part of one of the most popular teams, right? The Avengers, right? He's maybe what? Second, third, fourth most popular Avenger, right? Cool, we can take that, right? Now, we're in 2020s, right? You're kickstarting the DC universe. Superman has been played out. Wonder Woman has been played. Flash has been played, okay? We talking who's fourth? DC, also part of the most popular team, but not the most popular hero, who also checks the diversity box. Who? Oh, I'll tell you who. Green Lantern. He's right in front of your face. John Stewart, right in front of your face. He's right there. He's right there. You make a Green Lantern, John Stewart movie right there. Start the universe. That's it. That is exactly what should have been the start of the new DC universe. Instead, they spent millions of dollars on Blue Beetle, which wasn't terrible, but why? Why the fuck would you spend all this money on Blue Beetle? What you think you about to do?
Who did they think was gonna Blue Beetle target was gonna hit? The demo was gonna hit.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we're restarting the universe. We're restarting it. We're thinking about who's getting kept, who's getting left, blah, 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 blase skip, right? The person who never got an introduction, right? Again, major hero, check. Not the most popular one, check. Part of a very popular team, check. Diversity, check. Make a good movie about him.
That's a lot of money, though.
Start. Dog.
His powers is a lot of money.
Man, no, that's bullshit. I'm gonna tell you why. Did you see what they did in Black Adam? They had Dr. Fate making fucking polygons left, right, and sideways, all that shit. They got money. It's not about money. They got money. They got billions to spend. No, they can make a Green Lantern movie.
Well, I wouldn't even say it's about money to spend. Also, it's about, like, as of late, the different sides of the movie industry going on strike because of unfair treatment.
Yes, but that's a different point. My point that I'm getting at is to what Mark was saying originally, which was about, we're talking about starting this universe, and to when you said you was thinking about, my perspective on it, we talking about starting this universe and kicking off a good foundation. The foundation is an individual solo film with a good character and good writing. That is the foundation.
I was saying more so your point about keeping the movies standalone versus intentional continuity building.
That too. Absolutely. I mean, they could do it with that or not. Like, they could have a Green Lantern.
Batman. Now, I always still say this: Batman: Mask of the Phantasm to me is one of the best Batman movie, because it gave his backstory. It introduced a character that was intertwined in his backstory. Her loop around and her purpose for what she was doing was sound. You know, she had rights to do what she did, and it concluded in a way that could have been a standalone. The Joker could have. I'm sorry for spoiling for anybody that might be watching this right now that doesn't know how it is. Okay. Like the way Joker looked like he died. You know what I'm saying? But we know better. But the way it looks, that could have been just a conclusion, and Batman goes off to be Batman. The end. But you could say that a Phantasm bridges into the animated series, because the animated series doesn't start off with him becoming Batman. It starts off with him being Batman for a grip.
Right.
You know, so it's like, or like for like a year or two. So like, the intention of Phantasm could be standalone, but why not? Versus like, we got to make this movie happen, right? And then in this movie, we're going to throw in mentions of Wakanda. We're going to throw in mentions of adamantium real quick. We can throw in mentions of like a character that no one knows about, like, or like at the end of Guardians when they showed what's his name's coffin. You know what I'm saying? Like throwing that stuff in there.
But you know, and they did that, of course, when the universe was already kind of established. But that type of thing does take focus away. You know what I'm saying? Like it does. Yep. Like you when you keep things in those ecosystems, you keep them sacred. You know, and Robert Pattinson's Batman, right? That was more likened to some of the old Batman live action, right? Where this is just Batman. They not mentioning. You know, Batman is one of those characters who there's almost different fucking versions of Batman. Batman
there are
punched in the face by regular human beings and punched in the face by aliens. Like that's Batman. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like this Pattinson is not the one getting punched. This is the one who's on the street in his black leather costume on a motorcycle doing espionage. That's this Batman, which I'm fine with. This I don't need to know in this Batman where the fuck Clark Kent's at. I don't. That doesn't. I don't.
Yeah, like
matter.
the line, like sir, like, do you want to still continue that research you were doing on the strange alien in the Metropolis area?
Yeah, like I don't need that.
Need to do that.
Like I don't need to sit here and think about.
You mentioned the alien in Metropolis.
See, like I don't need to think about that. I need to just think about what is happening with Bruce Wayne and and that's the thing that these universal things have done so much of. Like they try to do all this other stuff. Like the power in this is that we don't know. Like me and Mark had talked about this on the phone. I'm so glad we're recording right now. Do you remember? And me and Mark, we talked about this.
I was about to say, because I'm eating right now. Like, do I need to like?
No. You good? I mean, unless I say some shit unless I see some shit say some shit that like you really disagree. When Obi-Wan was talking to Luke Skywalker, and they was sitting down and they was talking. And he said, "You knew my father?" And talking to him about Darth Vader. Darth Vader betrayed and murdered your father, right?
Mm-hmm.
At that point in time, every viewer is like, "Damn, Darth Vader's fucked up. He killed your daddy," right? That's what everybody's thinking, right? Your daddy was a powerful Jedi Knight. And Obi-Wan trained and knew. Darth Vader betrayed and murdered him? Oh, man. Fuck, right? That's what it was, right? This is his lightsaber, right? Training montage, whatever. Luke's destined for greater things. Luke wants to be more than just a fucking desert hermit dude. He wants to go and fulfill his destiny, right? Obi-Wan's getting summoned by Princess Leia. He can barely walk straight. He's like, yo, I'm too old for this shit. You know what I'm saying? But this young buck right here, you know what I'm saying? Luke's like, where we going? I'm trying to get in on this, right? Come to find out later, right? A whole bunch of fucking shit. No, Vader is your daddy, right? Obi-Wan lied to you, but he didn't lie to you. But he did lie to you. No, he didn't.
From a certain point of view.
He did some Jedi shit. You know what I mean? Like he told him, yes, sure, philosophically, yeah, maybe, right? The Darth Vader, the concept,
what I told
betrayed.
You
know, what I'm saying?
No, it was a lie.
No doubt.
Let's be exact. What I told you was true. From a certain point of view. And I think Luke was like, a certain point of view?
Right.
A certain point of view?
I remember looking at him like, bro, like... Yeah.
I think he said from a certain point of view, and then I think Obi tried to be like, but that, like his follow-up line was kind of like, but that's not the point right now, or something like that. It was almost kind of like, when you tell somebody like, yo, you lied to me. It's like, oh, technically I didn't. And it's like, what you mean? It's like, well, no. That's not important right now. We need to find we need to let you know about your sister. And try to let's not direct this on me and the lie I told you about a year and some change ago.
But that's the thing, and us not knowing that, right? Yeah. That's awesome. Like, and even then, right? And we had talked about this too. When he mentioned, "Oh, you fought with my father in the Clone Wars," didn't nobody know what the fuck the Clone Wars was. He was just like, "Oh, that must be something significant." You know what I'm saying? Cool, but that's not something that we know of or is happening. Now, sure, that's a different IP, right? Star Wars ain't necessarily, Marvel with all these other heroes that everybody's aware of that are being linked together and things like that. Now there's more of that can be done. But the reality is, in building this world that is crafted, and you have people who don't know things, you capitalize out on that and you tell them this story while feeding their curiosity. But the curiosity isn't quite there when you're telling me, oh, okay, all these motherfuckers is involved. I don't really care now about this thing that's happening. Like, you've now taken me so far away from where the initial focus was that it doesn't really matter. The multiverse is great. I think the multiverse has a ton of benefits in terms of how they're utilizing it, right? But at the end of the day, it's also making us care less about certain characters. care a lot less.
Yeah.
And now we just care about what is the big culmination of what's going on.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. But what we used to care about was Andrew Garfield's reaction to when the lizard first shows up. That I cared about that a lot. I cared about how when Lizard first showed up, Andrew Garfield, which I thought was poor writing, by the way, when Andrew Garfield was just like making jokes about it. I'm like, bro, you're not scared? This is the first thing you've seen that is supernatural. Like, you're not fucking scared. You know what I mean? And he was just acting as though like, okay, Spider-Man, like, whoa, this is crazy, you know, whatever. But like, you're not scared? Like, you're a teenage boy and your professor turned into a fucking lizard monster. Like, yes, you have superpowers, but there's been no evidence of some other shit happening. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I thought they should have written something in there where he was just like, I don't know, maybe like just something. But I thought it was a missed opportunity. But that is a very small thing, right? That I cared about. Now, Tom Holland's doing all this shit. I don't really give a fuck about his petty shit. I'm trying to see what that means for X, Y, Z, ABC, all this other stuff. You know, like, that's what I care. Do I really care about him and MJ's relationship? No. Because I care about how he's going to interface with the Avengers. Like that. So like they take away, when they make all these other big looming things, you take away. So when Green Lantern gets introduced in this new Superman movie along with like 5 other motherfuckers, how am I supposed to care about Green Lantern now? Like, how am I supposed to care about it? And then they skip Jon Stewart and go to the third motherfucking Green Lantern. Like, you know, I'm just like, y'all got these opportunities that y'all are wasting. Anyways, all this to say, and this is something that we talked about before, the way that they tell these stories is always going to be key. You make fire, you can't capture lightning in a bottle multiple times. That's just not realistic. That happens once, maybe twice, but then you know what? That lightning will make fire, you make fire. Make fire. That's what you can do. You're going to strike gold once or twice. Maybe then you'll strike gold. Yeah. But come on now. You got to make stuff that is good and quality. And when they have the opportunity to, you can't squander it. And that's what Star Wars has done.
Yeah, and to your point, like, you're right. Capturing lightning in a bottle twice is pretty much impossible. But what you can do with established franchises is keep going with the narrative in a way that is thought-provoking, in a way that is narratively non-compromising, which is a long way to just say it respects the lore and the rules that you wrote into it. Mm-hmm. And then also... Yep,
narratively non-compromising. Because that's true. Don't compromise the narrative.
Yeah, well, it's like, it's kind of like, you know, you're playing basketball, right? And you know rules, right? You know...
Is this a sports analogy, man?
Yeah, it's about to be.
All right.
It's like playing basketball. If you're playing the game of basketball, there's rules. One of the most basic rules, you got to dribble. One of the other most basic rules, you have to dribble so much, because if you don't, you're hand egging. You're just carrying the ball. It's traveling.
Yeah, you can't progress the ball, move the ball without dribbling it or passing. Like, you just.
If you then suddenly tell me that I don't have to do that and I can kick the ball,
man,
into the backboard, and not going into the net scores a point, hitting the square on the back scores the point. Is that basketball anymore?
Nope, it's not basketball. It's bullshit.
It's not. It's bullshit. That's what they're doing with the franchise.
That's exactly what they do. Thank you.
That's what they're doing with the franchises. They're like, this is
bullshit. Amen.
They're just like, oh, well, now the Force can do this. Oh, and well, the Force is mysterious. It can do anything. And it's like, no, it can't do anything. It is a energy field that surrounds living things and binds living things, just like Obi-Wan told us in episode 4, the establishing episode for the franchise. Mm-hmm. That's what it does. You can build on that. You can adapt that to certain things, but at its core, that has to remain the same.
The mouse said, fuck that core. That's what
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, well, at this point, you know, the Jedi are the ones who can use the Force. People are Force sensitive, and not everybody has the Force. No, let me correct that. Not everybody can use it. Not everybody can use the Force. The Force affects every living thing, but not everybody can use it. But then when Disney, trying to make every kid special, says everybody can use the Force, a la Sabrine Wren, then what does it do? It doesn't make things better, it cheapens it.
Yep.
What did Syndrome say in Incredibles? if everyone's super, then no one is. Then no one is. And that's the thing. And does it cheapen your Star Wars experience as a child if you can't use the Force? No. Mandalorians fought a whole war against Jedi.
Skilled,
sure did.
Even some
gave
of the skilled,
him
even some
gave
of the
him
skilled,
hell too.
even some of the skilled clones.
Yeah, the clones took out most of the Jedi from Order 66.
You know, Obi-Wan left that shit out the story. Obi-Wan made sure to leave that shit out, and so did Master Yoda.
Yeah, and so it's like,
talk about, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, like there's
that's the thing.
powers in the character.
And that's the thing. Well, and we'll take it to the to comics. DC, Superman has every power basically ever, and yet and Batman is able to go toe to toe with him because of prep time, basically showing that yes, you can be uber powerful, but if you're resourceful, if you're smarter, if you actually know how to
in the heart of the car,
if you actually make that pull, you can at least do damage or whatnot. But humans love a good underdog story, like overcoming insurmountable odds. Because you don't. I can't shoot fire from my hands, but you know what? I know it can douse fire.
Right. That's right. That's it. Play that.
I may not be able to fly, but I know how to take somebody out of the sky if I need to. Like it's stuff like that. And so, I mean, this is why I say, I'm about to go on my own preaching. This is why I say Neji versus Kidomaru is one of the best ninja battles in all of Naruto. Because yes, they had powers, but they were figuring each other out.
Yeah.
They were figuring each other out throughout all their powers. And what that did for us as an audience is it allowed us to figure them out too. The Byakugan can see 360 degrees around. Oh wait, actually it can't. It's 359.
Yeah, it's that 1 degree.
I can use that 1 degree. Oh, well I know where he's gonna hit me now because he's gonna aim for where I can't see.
1 degree.
And so it's that progression makes the story. Darth Vader killed my father. Oh wait, no, he's actually is my father. Well wait, Obi-Wan said he was a great warrior. I can't kill my father. Wait, there's good in him. Because if he had driven all the good out of him, he would have killed me. He would have taken me to the Emperor. He's obviously got a soft spot for me. And I can use that to bring him back.
That's the 1 degree. That was the 1 degree.
The 1 degree.
And Luke being, the Skywalker, I guess, or maybe, who knows? I mean, the prophecy was never really clear about who the Skywalker was.
I still say it was Anakin.
I still say it was Anakin too.
I think it's Anakin. The chosen one, I want to say is Anakin.
It's like nothing in the prophecy didn't say anything about the Jedi not getting worked too. Like balance. Yeah, there's too many of y'all. It's like y'all got.
They Jedi fucking shit up.
Y'all got a whole.
Y'all trying to have a monopoly on the Force,
right? Y'all got a whole.
What is this?
Temple on the capital planet of the universe. Y'all got a whole backyard, a suite. The backyard, seeing the whole from the council. Y'all got your own door to the universe council. You know what I'm saying?
Then mad when Palpatine do it. Like these motherfuckers ain't learned how to play politics from the Jedi. Tenebrous and all these motherfuckers from back in the day. They was like, okay, we gonna fight fire with fire. They was all sitting there looking like, yo, this warmonger and shit ain't working. We can't go toe to toe with the fucking Jedi. It didn't work. It hadn't worked. And so then, you know what did work? Because it did work. It succeeded. Palpatine took these motherfuckers out. Palpatine, the most successful Sith Lord that there had ever been. The most success. He did what everybody wished.
Turn the greatest and wiped out the rest.
Hey, well, it started with Tenebrous. It started with Tenebrous after Bane when the Sith was under wraps, and he was like, "Yo, we playing the infiltrating game. I'm on paper. I'm a ship maker. Ain't nobody gonna know who the fuck I am. Orchestrated Plagueis being born. Trained Plagueis. Plagueis was doing fucking Orochimaru fucking Sith science experiments and shit in caves. That's what he was doing, conducting experiments on the Force, breaking the Force down and building it back up, training up Palpatine. You know what I'm saying? All of them though was following what Tenebrous was saying. It was like, yo, we don't need to be warmongering. We got to be in the shadows. Like after Bane, like the shit started going in the shadows. It stopped being warmonger and shit, and it was like, okay, we in the shadows. Rule of Tool shit, cool, but we in the shadows now. We behind the scenes. And Tenebrous was like, yo, we gonna go through politics. We're going through politics, ship making, all this other stuff behind the scenes. And so they did. Next thing you know, Plagueis is helping Palpatine sow seeds in politics. Plagueis took what he learned, Palpatine took what he learned from Plagueis, applied it from a politics standpoint, killed him, seized the power for himself, and then you saw what happened. All he was doing was rising. Chancellor, etc., growing and growing and growing. And not once was he exposing himself for what he was. We didn't see this man even think about the Force or a lightsaber for a long time.
Yeah.
In the past, Bane would have been sitting on the throne like, you got me fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Like but not Palpatine. Palpatine's like, no, the clones, y'all handle my light work.
Which was hilarious.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I just want to say this last point.
Go ahead.
It made me think about it because Darth Jason and the Acolyte talking about, yo, you got to kill the Jedi without using a lightsaber, right? The whole time I'm thinking to myself, politics. Who taught you that? Who and remember, he says he's not Sith, which is a whole bunch of other bullshit, right? But remember, Palpatine killed 95% of the Jedi without a lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
That was with an order he executed. By taking power, and by that power also being given to him by the Jedi, because the Jedi, the foolish Jedi, martyred his ass, or when they went and attacked him. When the people who were flawed, right? Mace Windu, who, Jedi ain't supposed to have love and attachments. Mace Windu in love and attached to the Jedi. Mace Windu loved the Jedi Order, was very much attached to the Jedi Order, and hypocritical Jedi, they don't count that. They're like, that's fine. No. Same attachment, same issues. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what? He was standing there right over Palpatine's body, and you know what? He said, he's too dangerous to be kept alive. And Anakin's like, hold the fucking phone. That don't sound like you. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on, he got to stand trial. You feel me? For two reasons. A, because I need him, like he said, but also because ain't you my superior? And wouldn't you tell me to stay my blade? But now you talking about you fear that this man's power and what he's done threatens the Jedi, and you love the Jedi. Anakin's looking at him like, you're also a hypocrite in this moment. So you got me fucked up. And guess what? Palpatine's like, you know the Pusha T meme with the Coke meme?
Yeah.
Right? That's Palpatine's like, yes. You feel me? Like, that's what it is. And so the whole time, we're seeing the hypocrisy of the Jedi unfold, but not being given a spotlight. Mm-hmm. So we learn about how the Jedi have been flawed for so long. And we learn about the rise of Palpatine and how he learned to navigate politics, because that's what the Jedi forced them to do. So yes, the Jedi did cause their own downfall, just like the sister said in the Acolyte, who was very wise about it. Because that's the reality. They was going to cause their own demise by the monopoly they tried to have on the Force. You feel me? So all these things are very, very, very connected.
What I gotta say is, if you guys are just tuning in, we are about a few minutes in on this episode of the podcast. You could basically say that this episode, we're very passionate about the storytelling that's kind of wrought our fandoms in Star Wars, Marvel, even DC to a certain extent. A lot is going on storyline wise, and we as nerds, or longtime nerds, veteran nerds, if you will, and new age nerds, and all the way even up to surface level nerds, deserve better. And this is your boy Frosty Phoenix, holding it down on the podcast with my fellow co-hosts Cornered Fox, Sonny Burns, and One True Noob, Mark Snake. And we'll just get right back into the conversation. We won't even do all the openings. You already know where to follow us. Fucaname across the web, PHUCANAME. And all of our previous podcasts. You like our content, like, follow, subscribe, do all the other things. Wavy told me to make sure I say that because he is our marketer. That's what he makes me do. I'm just kidding. I'm playing with you, Wavy. He couldn't be here today, and Desert Skies as well. But back to the discussion. I think that was a very good.
He's like a Desert Skies as well.
And Desert Skies as well.
He's got a little nugget.
You know, shout out to my fellow voice actor, and we will be remiss to say that as of this episode's recording, the final chapter of My Hero Academia was released. And I personally think that that's a good way to cap a story. Now, whether or not they will do what we're talking about in this episode and try to capture lightning in the bottle again with a Shippuden Dragon Ball Z style time skip remains to be seen. There'll be an announcement tomorrow. It could be go back to another episode of this episode, like of the podcast. We talked about whether or not you should extend the story or just leave it as is. And there's the My Hero Vigilante manga that they could probably use. There's like another movie coming out soon as of this episode. So is the franchise going away or not? We'll find out. It should have just capped it where it is. We'll find out. So with that being said, the tie back to what you were saying, Hassani, about the Acolyte, I think is where this initial conversation started for what we were going to do for this episode. If you want to keep going with that point about Star Wars and leading up to what the Acolyte failed to do or did, and then we'll go Mark, and then we'll go me, just unpacking like what happened. What's happening?
Well, this is kind of what what I wanted to do was kind of lay this out, where there's writing that is telling a good story. There is writing that is talking about things that are happening in the world, that is establishing things, following up on things, building on things, rewarding things, celebrating things that was done in some of the earlier pieces of Star Wars content.
Right.
There's a lot of it that was done. We refer back to it, we call back to it, we see it. We even talked about where some of it failed in the sequel trilogy. We talk about some of the shows. The shows have flaws too, big time. We see it. The Acolyte has things in it. We're not going to act like 100% of the Acolyte was trash. We all seen episode 5. Okay. Episode 5 was one of the best pieces of Star Wars content in a while. The only downside of episode 5 was that it was attached to episodes 1 through 4 and 6 and 6 through the end. Like that was the only thing.
Was it 7 and 9 rather? What you mean? There was between. It was between 7 and 9. Is that what you're,
No. Episode 5, where Darth Jason first showed up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Acolyte. I'm sorry. I was thinking about. I was talking about the follow-ups to the movies. I'm sorry.
No. I don't even want to talk about the sequel trilogies. Those were fucking garbage. The Last Jedi, this would be a real quick take. The Last Jedi was tight only because of the Praetorian Knights and only because they showed a connection between Rey and Kylo, which I thought was great. It spanned space and time. They were very connected. Also, because there was not a shout out that was done to the battle meditation that Luke used in order to curb things so that the rebels could get away. They didn't do a fucking call out to battle meditation as a force technique. They should have did it. All these opportunities that they have in Star Wars to call shit out, they do not do. I understand firmly, as somebody who has read Extended Universe, Legends, knows things from the Old Republic, battle meditation takes a toll, and only certain gifted people can do that. So battle meditation and astral projection over the course of hella fucking far, I get that Luke is dead after that. I get that. You know what I'm saying? Because that takes a fucking lot. Get it. Do I like anything else they did with Luke? No. The rest of it was bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So that movie gets a little bit of credit for me, but the sequel trilogy was trash. The sequel trilogy should have been focused on Ahsoka. I will die on that hill. I don't give a fuck. The sequel trilogy should have focused on Ahsoka.
We'll go to that after.
Should
We'll go to that after.
I'll tell you why. Because here's what. Y'all want to introduce new characters? Okay, let's talk about somebody who hasn't been talked about enough, right? At a point in time, right, where she should be older, and there is not a lot of content, right? There's not a lot. Don't nobody know what's going on with Ahsoka. Don't know.
Now they do.
Now they do,
right? Now they do. That's what I'm saying. At the time, nobody knows Ahsoka, right? So you want to have a tie back to the Skywalkers. Here is a literal tie to them. You don't got a bullshit one. You literally got one. You want a female character? You literally got one. You want diversity checkbox? You literally got one. You want new Jedi to talk about and think about? Oh, you can insert any in this time period out of the many that survived Order 66. You can inject any of them, right, into this and make it work. You sure can. And you could tell a better story because of it. Instead of trying to say, make Rey the Skywalker, bring the Emperor back, do all this bullshit, right? You can literally have Ahsoka. You can make up another villain, or whatever you want to. All the whole talk about leaving the past behind and what they was trying to do with this series, literally, that's what Ahsoka was doing. Like the content is there. The content's there. But instead, we want to make Rey this. You got Rey. Oh, how did she get so strong? Ahsoka trained with Anakin as a kid in the Clone Wars. She had a pretty tough growing up.
She fought
had a tough
in war.
master. That is why we have a reason.
Did she gain general status?
Substance. Value.
Did she have like general status at least? I think she had some type of high military status by the end of it. She had her own group.
Oh, in that last season of what you call it?
Clone Wars. But that's the point. She's seen life, death.
Exactly. But we don't need to. It's not the whole, Mary Sue. It's not the whole
that word.
That word. It's not it's not the whole question of how does she get so strong, right? That was asked about Rey, right? We all asked the question, how's she so nice? Like, why is she?
She was nice with that staff. How did I do that? Survived on the desert world of Jakku, fighting for my life.
We still don't have an answer to why she's.
We don't have direct answers, but speculation is that you had to survive on this world. She basically held on to that staff basically because it was her lifeline for everything in the opening of the movie.
They try to make it because she's a Palpatine. That's what she's doing.
Later, but like initially, all we could understand is like people in Star Wars are good at fighting. A lot of people in Star Wars are just good at fighting because survival, right? You know what I'm saying? Like some people are from certain parts of Philadelphia and they're good at fighting. Why? Because of survival. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. But that's
different. That's different. But like in the story, in storytelling, it would be better to have drawn a through line to say why she is. You know what I'm saying?
Well, even this is going to be my furthermore point, right? Because, and I wanted to spell all this out for a reason. Because even if they give you the reason, even if they fix the big issues that they had, she still, episode 7, was a carbon copy of what Luke was, just in a different format. Right? You still are rehashing and regurgitating shit to us. We all walked out of episode 7 like, that was alright, but damn, I seen that. You know what I'm saying? Like, Ahsoka, is a different character. So now you challenge to make something greater. You can't rewrite Ahsoka and make her into a fucking desert mongrel who is a great ship person like Luke and like Rey, and you can't redo all that. You take what she is, and now you build her up. Oh man!
And the tale of two Jedi's backstory for her, and Count Dooku.
I mean, you said with her and Dooku?
Yeah, those are the backstories for Ahsoka and Dooku. The Tale of Two Jedi.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. And what I was saying too is that they could have taken. Again, there's so many ties that they have that they could have gone back. There's several Jedi that they could have introduced. Several evil characters, several new ones that they could have created. There's a lot of stuff that they could have done.
Yeah.
But with an established character that we don't know a lot about, that is a great opportunity to be in. You don't need to create all of these random situations that are already fulfilled by a character that was already established. They just need to be built up now. So that's why I say that it should have been about Ahsoka, for what they were trying to do. Right. Now, we could talk about is what they were trying to do good. That's a different conversation. Because, see, for me, and this is where, because I understand that I might disagree with some people when they say, oh, it should have been about Ahsoka. And for what they were trying to do, they should have used Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Is what they were trying to do good? I don't know. I would have done something different. My sequel trilogy would have been about Luke and what the fuck happened with Luke after. All right, well, what happened with Luke?
And if Rey was the
Rey wouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
All right, it wouldn't have been there. It wouldn't have been no Rey. Okay, it would have been what was going on with Luke. Seriously, but again, if we're trying to do all these other things, Ahsoka is right there for the taking, for the use, right there. Try to craft a whole thing about her, and now you don't have to answer the question of how she's so nice. Now you don't have to ask the question of what is her tie to the light or the dark or one side, right? Rey sat there and she didn't take Kylo's offer to leave the past behind and join him. Why? What is your tie to the light side? What is it? What at that point? What was your tie? All you knew about the Jedi at that point in time was that they had you fucked up and that Luke lied to you. That's all you knew at that point. What is your tie to the light side? You and Kylo got a link across space and time, and y'all just took down the Dark Lord, killed the Roman Praetorian Knights. Y'all need to get busy. Like, what is
in what
your
way,
reason?
sir?
Huh?
No,
I mean, like, work together. Use your imagination. Use your imagination. Okay, we can be creative. We all adults here. Use your imagination, all right? Kids don't ask nothing. It's whatever. Y'all know what it is. Ain't no kids listen to this unless they parents there anyway, all right? Anyways, look. Is what they did and what they were trying to do with the sequel trilogy the right thing to do? Different conversation. But what they were trying to do, in my opinion, they should have just used it.
Yeah.
Would have been easier. Would have been better. But again, for me, if you gave me money and said make a sequel trilogy, I'd have said, okay, what's good with what's good with what's happening with Luke? Or I'd have probably just went further back and did an Old Republic trilogy.
Well, so here's the deal, right? And we're talking about the decisions that go back as far as the recent sequel trilogy, leading up to where we've gone with Mandalorian, the Ahsoka title, even Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett, right? And leading up to Acolyte. You can kind of tell there's almost like that there's two teams in the Lucasfilm area, because they're clearly, one team is like, we're trying to rush this, we're trying to make all this happen, trying to tell the story again, catch lightning in the bottle. The other one is trying to capitalize off of established verses and build up to, I believe the idea is that there's supposed to be a Mando's movie coming, whether Mando's the focus or Ahsoka's the focus, but I know they were doing season 2 Ahsoka press runs, so that's coming, probably in post-production, but Mando and Ahsoka leading up to some type of trilogy or some type of final culmination movie after you watch both series. That team is doing like you said. There's an established character, established verse, some characters from the EU that have been migrated to the current, from the books. So there's a team that's doing it the way that we're talking about.
They got Thrawn, they got Skull, they got his joint apprentice, they got the witches, they got all this stuff established in that. Like they're trying to do this in the show, and that's cool. I didn't even say they need to do that for the movies. Like if I was going to do something, but they've established those things, and that's cool. Now Thrawn again, we know Thrawn exists. We know what Thrawn's capable of, though we know the way that he's been depicted, and like that's tight. He exists. Could Thrawn have been in a movie? Sure, Thrawn could have been in a movie and died. Just like Ahsoka could have, right?
Yeah.
Like I got my type of way of feeling about certain characters being put on the small screen. Not to downplay premium TV, but you know what I'm saying? Like Star Wars was built on the back of its high volume, high eye watching movies. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing like the Star Wars premiere. There's nothing like The Phantom Menace, which is, again, the best name for a Star Wars movie ever. The Phantom Menace. Like, there isn't really a better name for a Star Wars, but in my opinion, The Phantom Menace.
I don't know, I feel like Empire Strikes Back has a je ne sais quoi to it. That John hurt.
Like, yeah. Hey,
it was like, you blew up my house? Okay. Vader was like,
you're
okay.
Right.
Like,
hey, you're right.
I'm coming to your house. He came to their house and said,
they struck all right. You know what I'm saying? But like that,
put your boy in carbonite, cut your hand off. Like,
hey,
what you mean? Mentally mind blanked you like I am who you didn't think I was. Play with me if you want to. Like,
yeah. And I mean, if we was alive when that shit came out, we would have been lined up.
I think when I saw it, like, because they re-released them in the
that's when I saw them too. They re-released them. Yeah,
and I was like,
I re-released them.
I mean, I don't necessarily remember how I felt, but I just know, I think even my kid self, when I look back to kid self, Eric, was like, how'd you feel about that? Probably still be like, I am.
Like, I was hyped. For me, it was when I saw Return of the Jedi. I was like super hyped, and a lot of people think Return of the Jedi was like.
Hey, that's my favorite.
It was my favorite too. It was my favorite one too.
Surrender or die. Okay.
Hey,
Man, hit him with the
R2, R2 is at the window like, you ready?
Say when. Say
It's
when,
like-
boss. Say when.
Right, say when. And then I was sitting there, wait, why is this lightsaber green? What the fuck happened? You know, and then we had to find out, you know.
I mean, and storytellers like, is it because he's like a Jedi Sentinel because deep reason? No, green doesn't fall back on the blue sky.
Yeah.
So we making stuff up. Like,
Hey,
Bruh, look, you can do that.
But
You
that's
can
the
do
thing. You can do that at that point when ain't nothing established already. Sure, you can make some shit up, and then we find out later. Okay, cool. The understanding is that there was going to be a scene where they showed Luke crafting a saber in a cave, but that was cut. Like that didn't make it. Okay, cool. So we know that happened. Now we assume that happened. Awesome, wonderful. Like,
Now, I've got to say, I gotta bring this back to our most recent project that did just end.
the acolyte.
Yeah,
The wackolite,
thank you.
as I call it.
Acolyte sounds like a product.
It is a product. It's a very shitty product that just wasted 8 weeks of my fucking life. Well, excuse me, seven.
I gotta say, now I'm gonna give like my holistic just kind of summary of the whole show and what I thought was good about it, what I thought was bad about it.
It's a short list.
One is I was about to say one is higher than the other.
Right. Yeah, let's start with the good. Why not?
Now, when I went into the Acolyte, I thought the premise was actually pretty fire. That we were going to learn about a apprentice, an Acolyte, on the dark side of the Force.
Yeah.
At this point in time, especially within the High Republic, the Sith should have been hidden. And so it would be this, I thought, espionage, kind of hidden in the shadows. They're trying to maybe do some sort of objective with the high, mighty Jedi watching from every, precipice. But somehow the Sith kind of like get this done. That's not what we got.
Nope.
What we got was a show about how the Sith apparently were very open. And I'm going to say Sith because, look, we saw what Khmer said. Spoiler alert. We saw what Khmer said. There was no refuting it. They basically were Sith.
Right.
And so at this point, we get the show where these guys are operating out in the open. They're killing Jedi left and right, which is of course going to cause suspicion. And then at the center of it, you get a couple of characters, Osha and May, who are really just kind of caught up in the middle of it. They're not driving anything. Now, you could argue May was the driving, inciting. It was the inciting person who started killing all the Jedi. But it's really everything that was moving around them that was driving the plot.
Yep.
So that which brings me now to, I'll say what the good is and then what the bad is.
Can I pause you for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I just want to talk about what you were saying about them being basically Sith.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were referring to the scene when he was talking to May before they tried to poison the other dude, and they basically cited the beginning of the Sith Creed about peace being a lie and there's only passion, except they skipped, go through the other pieces of it. They didn't go through, they didn't even finish that part of it. But essentially, they referenced peace is a lie, which, hardcore Star Wars fans, who again, I would say at least 40% of the fan base is a hardcore fan. I mean, and by hardcore fan, I mean at least 40% of the fan base, in my opinion, no stats here, at least 40% of the fan base has followed Star Wars for 20 years. And so, if you know that, you don't just put some shit like that in here. Oh, this guy, Khmer, says peace is a lie, which is the first in the opening stanza of the Sith Creed, and later
Sith
goes on
Creed,
to say he's not Sith. Oh, okay, sir.
Well, and I was more referencing episode 5 where he says there are some you guys might call me Sith, and he just outright says it.
So it says
And so,
he has the creed or opens the creed up. Like, again, it's bumpkiss, whether you look at it, but to open the creed and then turn around and say that that's what you aren't would lead probably people to believe that
imply that you're not.
No,
Sith,
not that you are, not that you are, but that you will become that title. It's like saying, like having a catchphrase. The catchphrase comes, and then later you get the label. It's like, oh yeah, I guess that's what you call me, and therefore you tie it back and say, oh, this dude was Sith because they said this line, right? It's like, tying back, say I'm not necessarily Sith, but that's the Sith Creed opening. It's like, oh, is it the Creed opening because you identify this guy as a Sith, not to say that, oh, I'm not Sith, I shouldn't know the Creed. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I know it, and therefore, if I identify you Sith later, oh well, I'm going to tie it back to that's what your opening lines.
It just really wasn't like a mystery.
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't really a mystery.
No, it sure wasn't.
It just kind of was like, okay, he just is that. And honestly, that's actually one of the things about the show that I didn't like, that they had a lot of mysterious elements they could have played with, but they ended up just kind of revealing them. Like either on the spot or the revelation was exactly what we thought.
Yeah.
Like,
which is not great.
It wasn't
which is not great. But like, okay. So for me, what I did like about the show is episode 5 did have a great lightsaber battle. I thought that was really well done. Yes. I have to say, I believe his name is Lee Jung-jae, but the guy who played Soul, him and Manny Jacinto, who played Kamir or the Stranger,
Darth Jason.
Darth Jason. They could fight. Their choreography on point. Right up there.
Master Soul, Squid Game.
Right up there with it. Like, he was trying. And so I'd say though that episode 5's fight scene was fantastic. I would say that, like I said, the proposition that the plot had to draw us all in to watch the show was intriguing. That was something that I would actually want to see. And then I have to say that from an actor, you can see that I'm like building up to things. You can see that like Lee Jung-jae learning English for this role, like that's dedication, and the man can act. He can.
Yeah.
He can.
So, and I believe Manny Jacinto did.
He had me believing he was a fool. That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. He acted like a terrible Jedi Master.
I jumped the gun. I'm just saying that's just crazy.
No, but like that's the thing. Like he did that. Now.
Sure did. God, he was too good.
So those are the things that I actually really did like about the show. I also did like a lot of episode 5. Some of the actors.
Episode 5, and the actors in episode 5.
Yeah, you can see that I'm referencing the same things. Now let me kind of rattle off like the top 3, and I've had some time to think about this. Now I want to hear you guys' thoughts about it as well.
Your top 3 favorite.
My top 3 things. The main characters, Osha and May, did not drive the story. Nope. They were accessories to their own story. Much like Obi-Wan was an accessory to his own story.
Oh yeah, Osha and May were a subplot. And
to me, the main character, I'd say not even to me, just general good story writing, the main character needs to be, they may not be the one who automatically thrusts the plot into motion, but they are the ones who catch it, and then they drive the plot. So Luke was not the one who incited the initial plot of Star Wars, but he was the one, there's a princess, we gotta save her. He's the one who started taking it and then going, right? He was the one to blow up the Death Star. He was the one to gain control of the fleet. I say fleet, but fleet of X-Wings, Wedge and the other guy. And actually I forget what his name was. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. His name. What was his name? Oh no, it was Biggs. That was his best friend.
Wedge and the other guy.
That was Biggs. Oh gosh, Wedge and Biggs. Okay, Biggs, Starklighter.
Tilly's and the other guy.
Yeah. There you go. I'll check my Star Wars card at the door. Take them through the trench run, but and then convince Han Solo to go rescue Princess Leia. Osha spends the entirety of the plot being dragged around by the Jedi as an accessory to catch May. And on May's side, while she was the inciting person to kill all the Jedi, halfway through she gives up, says she's going to turn herself over to the Jedi. Then after that, when she actually comes to the Jedi, she fights off Jecki. She just fights her off. Why not give yourself up? And then after that, then she's like, oh wait, my sister's here. Join me. For what? Join me. And then after that, she knocks her out, becomes her sister,
which
twins, right?
Oh my god.
And then tries to kill Soul.
Dumbest
and it's
short-lived thing I have
so that's
ever
the thing.
seen.
what was her motivation throughout the entire thing? Oh, and then, sorry, spoiler alert, guys, if you haven't seen the ending, but then she gets her mind wiped because apparently Osha felt that May needed to be freed from Khmer, who had already given her up at that point. So she was not.
And the question is, does that acknowledge like Osha was stronger than her in the Force or something?
We're not going to talk about power scaling yet.
Right, I was going to say, like, what Disney has done with the power scaling is stupid.
Like why did he take
stupid.
May was down? Like, why would you switch the one sister for the, like? I didn't understand the switch.
Well, and my point is why did Osha feel like she had to free May from Khmer when Khmer had already let her go?
Right.
I'm becoming your apprentice at the expense of May going and getting her mind wiped so that you will leave her alone and that the Jedi will also leave her alone. Spoiler alert, those Jedi still get her.
Right, they still get her. And like,
so it's just like
he already, you know, never mind.
He already let her go. And so it's that inconsistency and lack of drive that the characters have where they're an accessory to their own story.
Yeah.
Now, the second point, that's my first point.
Yeah.
The second point is the story unnecessarily breaks or comes to breaking a lot of lore. You don't need to do that. There's no reason to get close to. I can see adding to emphasis. But there's no real reason that you needed to add Kayati Mundi in there. And don't even just say it's about a birthday.
Oh, God.
You don't need to add him in there to make that point or even come close to skirting that point that was already brought up within the Phantom Menace.
And then change his official.
Yeah, you don't need to do that. There's just no need to do that. And so, and otherwise, with the bleeding of the crystal, how in the comics you had to pour your anger, because anger is a flash in the pan emotion. That's not what turns a crystal. What turns a crystal red is unbridled rage, concentrated, focused into the crystal. You are harming it by turning it red.
Yeah.
This is like you're taking your crystal and literally choking it.
Yeah.
I have a question.
That's what turns it red.
I have a question to right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the initial establishment, I talked about the color thing with Luke. Like, they changed his saber to green in the original trilogy because of the backdrops of the colors at the time. Blue was a standard lightsaber color, and then red was the established. You see red, you're bad. I don't know how you got it. Mm-hmm. You just have a red one because you're just bad, right? And then adding the lore implications of the sabers, the colors, like the green, blue, purple. Like purples are sentinel, green are enforcers.
Right, then there was the meaning.
Yellow is I think the yellow's the in between, like when you're like
sentinels. It's the guardians.
Yeah, yellow is sentinels.
Yellow sentinels and green is guardians, and then like red.
Blue is guardians. Blue's guardians. Green's counselors.
Yeah,
counselors.
So Luke was a counselor. You know what I'm saying? No, it was green because of backdrop, because of coloring at the time.
I mean,
and then red.
But it also, like at that point in time, it wasn't.
It wasn't a thing. It was he just has a cool green lightsaber. Me, cool. I like my favorite color is green. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
And like.
Yeah, the
red parts of it now, where it's like the adding the story bits of saying, you turn it red by pouring your emotions into it and bleeding it, right?
Yes.
And it's like, as a Star Wars fan or people that love a little deep lore with their content, you just go, that's rather deep. That's really cool. And to add this part now, where you just have to just be a little upset. That something happened to you, and the crystal's like, yeah,
right. I'm
ready. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's again.
I think. I mean, I already said it, but what's you guys' take on the initial part of like, you just got a saber and it was a color and that represents good guys and bad guys.
Happy to.
Versus, yep. The actual change of the color representing your allegiance. to your mindset.
Look, back in the day, right? It's all these crystals, right? It's all these crystals. You assemble a lightsaber, you got crystals, right? Back in the day, pre-Disney, like the red ones was synthetic. It was synthetic crystals. Like, cool, fine, right? At some point, right, depending on what the order was intact, those got meaning. Yes, blue, Guardian, yellow, Sentinel, what? But we saw, like, at the time when Luke got his, right? Luke wasn't holding Anakin's lightsaber thinking about none of that. He didn't make his green one thinking about that. The order was done. You know what I'm saying? Now, the introduction of Disney and their whole notion of affinity, determining lightsaber color, right?
That wasn't in the
It's only cool.
It wasn't in the books. Okay.
Hell no.
Just to state that for the audience and for my own knowledge, it's like where that even came
Hell
from.
no. Absolutely not. And also, like, there's a whole bunch to talk about here. But yes, and again, there's more crystals than that, right? There's more crystals than red, green.
We over here talking about
blue,
Green Lantern
green,
colors now,
right?
Green Lantern rings.
I mean, Mace Windu got his purple, and his purple was just for whatever the fuck's sake, right? And then, like, sure, and the lore, like, there are all types of colors. There's Viridian. There's Cyan.
You remember not the dark saber?
Other color crystals.
But there's the dark saber. But then you remember in Force Unleashed, you could get the black ones, like the black color.
Force
and I think
Unleashed
they had
with,
effects. I think all of them had effects, but you could have black.
But that's also like not. Yeah, I mean, it's not canon. Right?
I don't care.
Like the Old Republic.
I don't care, but like
there are black.
It's not canon, but
well, also too. I mean, there are white crystals too. But now to get a white saber is different. Now you have to reverse what happens with the evil, and then you can get a white saber. Right. That's what I'm saying. So like, but to what we were saying, what is a saving grace of this piece of what Disney's done is, like Mark mentioned, the process by which you bleed that crystal. Right. The fact that you are draining, choking, sucking the life out of this crystal in order to pervert it, destroy it, and build it back up into what you want it to represent. That is a awesome thing, right? I have jokingly said that what happened to the Acolyte was evil loaded. She held the thing, and then it was turning, and it's just like, and the blue was fighting, and it was evil, it was loading.
77% evil.
Download evil EXE program,
Yeah.
I was like,
and to say, and I wouldn't even say it was like a little upset. Like, she learned a devastating truth, just taking it from the story perspective. She learned a devastating truth about who killed her mother. But even then, you gotta go back to Anakin learning that his mother died and was tortured by Sand People, and he kills an entire village. Not once does his lightsaber turn red. If you're going to be talking about how to bleed a crystal, you've got to take care of things like that. Now, I can understand that because, again, anger can be a flash in the pan emotion. At that point, you are angry. Luke was angry when he was provoked by Darth Vader about, hey, okay, I can't turn you, I'll turn Leia. That made him angry. Crystal didn't bleed. Now, yes, you could explain that away with crystal bleeding wasn't a thing. But then again, Ahsoka wasn't a thing when the prequels came out. You could always use that argument. The thing that really incenses me about this generation of Star Wars, if you will, under Disney, is that they do not seem to, and I really thought Filoni would do this, because he did do this when he was making the Clone Wars cartoon first, when Disney had just purchased Star Wars. They do not seem to be taking care to know that Star Wars is an interconnected piece where, yes, you can definitely explain certain things in a way that will not mess up continuity, a la Darth Vader being Luke's dad and not killing his dad, literally. But be graceful about it, and also do not look for ways to just break the lore or make your own continuity or make your own story decisions that will then destroy, I won't even use destroy, but just corrupt earlier things.
Makes them rewrite
if you
stuff.
Want Osha to bleed her crystal, Wait till a different season where she actually pours her anger into it. You don't have to have the red right away.
Use Osha as a way to show us that, wow,
exactly
what happened with Master Soul was the spark that sent her down this. And she is so committed to it, right? This isn't just a overnight evil, right? That she is going to go and she is going to do just what she did to Soul, to this crystal, and she is going to bleed it in her fucking rage and fucking turn it red. Like, that would be wonderful. That would be very wonderful. Because that's how we expect something like that to go, right? We don't expect the lightsaber to be a mood ring. Like, that's not what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be, oh, I'm bad. I'm in a bad mood today. My shit's red. You know, it's a mood ring. Like, it's not supposed to be a mood ring. It's supposed to be an actually crafted device, right? Made of actual crafted parts, crystals, emitters, lenses, etc., right? And then through this process, heavy force manipulation and honestly a lot of like wild shit. This again, and it's not too different from the synthetic crystals in the past, but it's a more brutal way of kind of talking about it. So I, done properly, I would give Disney credit, but it hasn't been done properly. So yeah, I can't. But that is again another missed opportunity. But what they do is they say in this scene, we are going to take May and turn her evil.
Osha.
Because her affinity. Osha, sorry. Both of them. Fuck it. They both the same. Okay, I don't care.
Allegedly,
I don't
they are
care
the
anymore.
same being too.
I don't care anymore. They're the same being. I don't care anymore. So, like, instead, her affinity was hanging on by a thread. And that thread was Master Soul. Now, notice, and Master Soul just left her the fuck alone. None of this would happen. But also, right, and the truth coming out, now, right, Osha, who had ties to being good before, now that gets uprooted. All this stuff is a lie. I understand confusion. I don't understand a pure commitment to dark.
Yeah.
I think
her commitment to the dark at this point is purely transactional. Yeah. And it's not a commitment based on, like Anakin. Let's take Anakin's turn, right? Because that's one of the other people that in main media we've seen. We've seen other Jedi turn too. But like Anakin, what caused him to go evil? I will admit, when I was in the theater back in 2005, watching Revenge of the Sith, even I was like, really? It was just a girl that made him go to the dark side? No. Yeah. What it was is that when he lost his mother, he lost his mother, he swore to himself, he swore to Padme, I will never lose anyone ever again. Yep. Padme was the ever again. He lost somebody else, and he was willing to do anything to prevent that. Even go to the dark side, which is why he said,
I'll even just add build up too. He developed through the Clone Wars. He developed connections to a lot of the soldiers that they were using in the battle against the Federation. They weren't just. I mean, depending on the writing, how you look, sometimes with some of them were just like one-offs or whatever. A lot of the lower ones, but some of the commanders they had built up relationships with that they were losing in this battle. Yeah. So I would even say those are chips to this way. And in addition, if you didn't watch the Clone Wars or have seen clips or whatever, the Jedi's betrayal of separating you from someone that they forced on you to begin with and you developed a relationship with. When they said, Ahsoka's your Padawan now, since you're a Jedi Knight. He said, I don't want her. Mm-hmm. Well, he developed a relationship with this girl, and now that's my young one. That's my sister. To say, in this scenario, this one bit, we gotta excommunicate her because that doesn't follow our creed. We gotta set ties based on little evidence that we have of the situation. And then when she got proven right, he said, well, we still gotta stand on business and she gotta get excommunicated. So I can't even believe you. So what? And so I can't. I lost. So the one dude that didn't believe, that believed in me. Let's even bring Qui-Gon into this. Like a little. I mean, he had a little time with him, but like lost that bull. You assigned me to this other guy who didn't care for me at first. Developed a relationship with him, And then, lost my mother.
You talking about Obi-Wan?
Developer
Yeah, you talking
Obi-Wan. Lost my...
Who loved Anakin and was attached to Anakin, mind you. And the Jedi be talking no love, no attachment. Okay.
Lost his mind. Right, and then the Padawan Knight thing is a connect. Anyway, like you said.
But
yeah, you're 100%. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, let me get the third point out, and then I'll leave the floor. But so the third point after that, like I said, main characters, lore breaking, and then the third thing is if you just step back and you think about the Acolyte just as a show, honestly, it just doesn't make sense. Like the writing decisions don't make sense. Again, final episode. Why did Basil sabotage the ship? Does anybany know?
I have the speculation of why. My speculation, which again, and see, this is funny because Mark and I, we do this all the time. We try to save shows by speculating. Like there have been so many things in Dragon Ball. This is completely so many things in Dragon Ball. We're like, let's think about it this way. It'll make it better for us.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But the problem is with writing, when you're writing a show, and this is why I hate that writers are actually accessible on Twitter.
Yeah.
If you have to explain something that you wrote,
and they do
the
it all the
day or two after it came out, you did a bad job writing.
You failed.
I'm sorry, you just did. Because if your audience cannot get what you were trying to tell them subtly, then you just did a bad job writing.
You did a bad job telling it.
You just did you told, you didn't show.
Exactly.
And as I say to people all the time, and you're gonna start getting me passionate here. As I say to people all the time, writing is just like how the Wizard of Oz was in that movie. I am Oz, the great and powerful. He was a huge projection, smoke, fire, and just noise. And they're all like, whoa, this is the great Wizard of Oz. Behind there, it was just a man behind a curtain with levers and buttons and just controlling it all. Just a man, just like the rest of them.
That's right.
That illusion, when you lose that in writing, you lose your audience.
That's right. That's where.
And that's what the Acolyte did every single episode. I could see where the writers were writing themselves out of situations that they put in, and it left me asking, why did they do that?
Gives you more questions than answers.
What is the point of this? Why do I need to carry? Yeah.
What are you and where are you taking us? And why are you taking us there? This is always about, yes, the journey and not the destination. But
I'll give an example. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you go right ahead.
I'll give an example of one scene.
Yeah.
There's one scene where they go to the planet of where they find Kelnaka, right?
Yep.
There's one scene where they get off the spaceship and Yord talks to Osha. What are you doing with a blaster? You that's Jedi property, right? He just says, "This is why do you have a blaster? That's Jedi property. I don't trust you with it." She says, "I'm just going to keep it." And then they keep walking. What purpose did that show? They don't address it at all in the rest of the episode or any other episodes. Now, let's go to another Disney-made Star Wars where this actually did it well. Rogue One. So, oh gosh, what's her name?
Daenerys?
Jyn Erso?
Thank you, Jyn Erso. So Jyn Erso gets into the spaceship.
I was thinking about Solo. I'm sorry.
Solo.
I'm sorry.
You gonna interrupt
I did.
bullshit like that?
I
Just loud and wrong.
acolyted
Loud and
this
wrong.
scenario real quick. I was playing.
Jyn Erso gets inside the spaceship, right, with K2SO and Cassian. And then K2SO says, "Why does she get a blaster and I don't?" And then he's like, "Wait, you have a blaster? Give that to me." And she's like, "I found it." And she basically says, "Hey, trust goes both ways. We're going on this mission. I need to, if you're going to take me along, you need to trust me. And I need this blaster
Defend myself. Yeah.
Protect myself. Later on in the movie, Jyn Erso gives K2SO a blaster when they're infiltrating the base on Scarif. The payoff is you continually, and this is what K2SO says, you continually baffle me, Jyn, with your behavior. But what did giving the blaster to K2SO show? They trusted each other. They were a team. That's the payoff. That's what every single scene needs to do.
Yeah.
There needs to be no wasted space in writing, because especially in today's society where we have the attention span of a gnat, you need to be able to tell the audience who these people are, why they matter, and why are they saying these things.
If you're gonna give them the time of day, then you have to do your due diligence.
Yeah.
To your point about why the little tracker mouse rat fuck thing was smelling and sabotaged Soul trying to attack May.
Here's a speculation, y'all.
Right? Nobody knows. The speculation is because that little motherfucker who could smell everything, right? He could smell, stink ass a mile away, right? He was like, yo, Soul, you're going a little hard. You're angry as shit and you about to kill her. You don't really want to do that. Let me stop this right here. That's my thought, right? Is that this thing is chaotic good. That's what my thought process is. Because other than that, there is no purpose to why this thing that can smell and has been used to track this murderer, right? Then when that murderer then impersonates her good sisters, as far as that thing is concerned, comes on board in order to
who they just met, by the way.
Why would he want to protect that?
Both of whom they just met within
why
a
would
period of time.
Exactly. And so why would you then want to protect her? Right? So it's one of those things where if you're going to introduce this character who was used far too much, in my opinion, that little character was used far too much.
He was everywhere. Oh my gosh.
I'm just why is he used so much? So when we talk about, and to Mark's point, when we talk about writing with purpose, writing with intention, right? You should be able, right? And not from you telling us as the writer, right? These things need to be defended in the works. We shouldn't need to ask that question. We shouldn't need to ask why he did that. You should show us why the character did that. We shouldn't need to ask how she bled the crystal. We shouldn't need to ask how somebody was this strong. We should need to ask. You should be showing us, because that is how you properly tell a story. Now, if I tell you, and storytelling is an art that is taught. It's talked about, and there's so many ways that it's talked about. If I tell you, right, there is a chicken, and this is actually from a seminar. There's a chicken, right, on the side of the road. That chicken steps out into the road, right? And then I give you 3 options of what happens next, right? An anvil falls on the chicken. That's option 1, right? Option 2, the chicken gets hit by a speeding car, right? Option 3, the chicken sees 3 other chickens and goes and tries to get them to the other side of the street, right? Now, option 1, where the fuck did the anvil come from? Who dropped the anvil? Were they aiming for the chicken? Right? And the other one, right? Speeding car comes to hit it. Was that in view? Was that always speeding? Okay. But is that feasible? Okay.
Yes.
We can work with that. The other 3 chickens. Where did these other 3 chickens from? Does this chicken care about those chickens? Because it's trying to save them and get them out. Does this one care about those chickens? Is this chicken an inherently good chicken that's seeking for the good of all chickens? Right?
I mean, you got me involved in a story about a chicken walk across the road. It's got to tell you cows invested in how you going to tell this story.
Because stories don't take much. They don't take much.
They really don't.
But when you just introduce shit without intention for the sake of introducing it, that opens things up to question. And questions, again, you aren't answering them as the writer by telling us on Twitter or in a post. You need to tell us in your craft. If you are going to introduce things in here, you better give me some fucking purpose, right? If you want me, as a part of the 40% of our fan base who's watched this shit for 40 years, to believe that Master Soul can't hold 2 children with the Force, you need to give up your MasterCard. You need to give up your Jedi MasterCard. That is bullshit. That is bullshit. That is bullshit. Okay? So again, if you as the writer of this piece of content, if I say, "Ooh, I'm gonna pick this up. I'm gonna write a Captain America comic book," but I know that all the people that's gonna read it have been following Captain America for years. I need to do
2 things.
Service
and two
Captain
things to
America.
that.
Captain America in my writing ain't gonna throw his shield and it hit him in the forehead because he can't handle it. No, that's not what's gonna happen because he's too adept for that. So if I know what it takes to become a Jedi Master, right? And I know that to become a Jedi Knight, you should at worst be able to do some shit like that. Then why are you, Master Soul, as emotional as your ass is, coming fresh off a murder, can't do this? Can't. So again, to Mark's point about storytelling, it is your job as the writer to tell us these things, right? Through what you are putting in front of us. If you want me to know that a character is evil, show me. What comedian do you know is coming out and saying, "I'm funny as shit. I'm funny as shit"? No, tell me a joke. Tell me a joke. That's how we'll determine that you are funny. You know what I'm saying? So, what's his name, right? Yeah, you'll probably call me Sith. Based on the shit that just occurred in episode 5. You're goddamn right I will. That was a good episode. I will call you that because I just saw you slaughter a legion of Jedi. I don't know what else to call you. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, that was a great episode because it was simple in its purest form. It was good lightsabers, bad lightsabers. Simple, right? But effective. But so very effective. Yeah. Because now, right? And I know I'm going on for a while. I know you want to interject. I'm sorry.
This is the passion, people. It's the passion.
What Mark is saying is so important. It's the passion. And what Mark is saying is so important because too often across so many different mediums, we got bullshit being told. And now we have this outlet where, oh, here's what I meant, here's what's happening, blah, blah, blah. It's no wonder AI is replacing some of y'all, to be completely honest. When you writing bullshit, that AI can, it's no wonder. It's no wonder. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not saying that about everybody because it's not everybody. There's so many talented
like that one right there.
But you know what? AI could have wrote the Acolyte. I'll tell you that right now. It probably goddamn did. Because if you look at all these questions, look, can AI tell me why the fuck it did? We should ask ChatGPT why the fuck that little rat sabotaged shit. Because somebody gotta know. But why should I have that question? Right? We're sitting here speculating about Darth Jason, and we call him Darth Jason, by the way, because his character was Jason in The Good Place. That's what we call him, Darth Jason. So Darth Jason. And we know that the whip on his back was from Master What's Her Name, Purple Whip, whatever, bald head shit, right? We know that that's where he got his scar from. Cool. They gave us a little bit of hints and snippets to it, but they didn't give us a full story. Like, y'all know y'all getting to season 2 or something? You got one shot at this. You tell me. What is going on? Tell me,
but where's the lie though? Like, you don't know if the next season's coming.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they have a relationship. Tell me, y'all spent 2 episodes talking about the same scene with these 2 kids. You could have gave me 2 minutes of flashback to tell me what the fuck happened between them 2, and I would have been happy. You could have gave me anything, and I would have been just fine. But instead, she does her little force radar thing. He has his helmet off, gets caught lacking, right? So he gets caught. Oh, you're alive? Give me more than that. That's bullshit. Give me more than that. We deserve more than that as Star Wars fans. We deserve better than the Acolyte. And the fact that we were fed the Acolyte, expecting a dark side story about a time period where they were under wraps, and we were fed. This is a crime. A crime against every Star Wars fan. It is a pure crime, and I swear I hope that this does not get a season 2. And the reason why I hope is because I'm going to be forced to watch it so I can talk about it And that's the only reason why I'm
future
pissed.
episodes of the podcast.
And I'm gonna be sitting here. I'm gonna be sitting on my deathbed, and I'm gonna say, "Damn, I wish I had all those hours back, and I can't get them back." And I wish I had more time with my family. I wish I had more time with the wife, with kids, with friends, everybody. More time to play video games, everything. And I don't have it because I spent 8, 9, 10 hours of my life watching this weak fuck shit that was made. That is, see, this is where the passion was. Before, that was just me talking, trying to reason, talk about this. This is where the passion comes from. The waste of time as a result of you leading us on this little journey to nowhere. See, people talk about, oh, it ain't about destinations, about the journey. Journey don't exist without the destination. Where the fuck you going? You don't just walk outside, hey, like, we about the journey. Like, if you ain't going nowhere, then there also isn't a journey. So yes, there is some merit to it is about the journey. Enjoy the journey on the way to the destination. Because we're still going to the destination. So if there's no destination, then the journey don't matter. You just walk outside and run around in a circle. That ain't a fucking journey.
I was thinking
if
that
I
too.
go
You
on
said
a
it,
hike
so
to get to a summit, that is a journey. If I go on a hike to a summit, that is a journey. But if I go outside and run in circles, that's not a journey. You know what the acolyte was? Oh, you could probably guess which one of those it was. I'll give you a hint. It wasn't a hike. It was not a hike. So
two things before we get ready to move on to one more point before we wrap up. I just wanted to drop a couple of bombs because, like, shout out to my co-hosts here. I've been very passionate about it. I don't have a lot to say about it because I agree with both of them wholeheartedly. We've all had individual and together conversations about this before this episode, and I'm pretty sure what I'm about to say, and I didn't mean for Sonny to prophesize this, we're probably going to have this again in a year or so, and I'll tell you why.
All right, let's do
it. To the couple points I wanted to drop that I thought were funny of a bad story point and a good story point before I get to it. Bad story point was when Saul was looking for May, and they went back to the scene of the crime. And he walked out to where he dropped the children, and he tried to sense where she was, and then he walked back because he didn't see her, and May just climbed up off of the rock where she had fallen, back onto the ledge. So you mean to tell me you couldn't sense her? You couldn't sense her? Now, mind you, right? So and then she had the nerve to start walking behind him, like just walk up. She didn't try to grab him when he stood there. Nothing. She waited, then she started following him. Whatever. The part I did like that they did add in the last episode, for those that like don't watch them. I mean, spoiler alert, we're kind of saving you time here. How did she survive the fall? She said, "Oh, I told my sister as we escaped this whole scenario where you killed Soul and run from the Jedi, I got sucked into this air pipe here on the side. That's how I survived that fall." For people that wondered how she survived when she fell, and she's like, "How did she survive and get caught up by Jason?" Which, mind you, she said she fell through the hole. She got sucked into the air hole thing, like Luke did in
episode 2,
episode 5,
in episode 5. Technically, I was like, okay, nice little tie back there, I guess. Cool, that answered that. Like I said that to Mark. I was like, that's like they answered how she survived. I mean, they answered it.
Yeah,
it wasn't great, but they just answered how she survived.
No, there's no tie.
It was similar. All right, and then the part of she goes to the tree. She said, "I just sat here and waited." I'm like, to mind you, okay, you sat here and waited and did what? And how'd you end up with Jason? But I digress. So, I thought that was a little tie-in point of how she survived, whatever. It was okay.
Another thing that was neither shown.
She just sat by the tree and waited after she survived that scenario. But then how did she get to all this whole thing and end up killing Jedi? The reason I say that is, by announcement on Google, Star Wars may have just dropped a massive hint that the Acolyte Season 2 will be confirmed at D23 2024. Lucas recently confirmed its schedule for D23, and it promised to showcase exclusive new content at the Disney convention.
That's ass. The only thing that's good about that is they have a chance to do something better.
They might fill in holes with things that we're talking about. Maybe. So,
no.
Is this and one?
No.
Filling in the holes or not?
Well, my question is this show
what,
shortly? Is this show salvageable?
Yeah,
Okay.
everything's
My
salvageable.
guess is that it's salvageable.
But you got to do away with. Yeah, it's salvageable. It's not beyond repair. But in order to repair some things, you got to trash a whole bunch of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, like, look, I'm telling you right now, like, I'm going through some legal shit right now with the floors of this house. And you know what? You know what some contracts said? Hey, to fix this, we got to tear the whole shit up. Fuck it. Sometimes you got to tear the whole shit up. And I'm not saying that's what they have to do with this, but I don't want the next season to be like, okay, we got to fill all these holes. Now you tell a good fucking story. Okay?
So don't tear it up. Just move on.
If you just focus on filling, you got to do that too. You got to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, has to be telling a good story.
That's the foundation.
Along the way of the story, you have an opportunity to close a hole, to show us something. You do that. But if your whole season is spent on filling holes, you're wasting time. You tell me a good story, because you don't do all the shit now that you should have done then. You tell a good story now, where you can answer some questions for us, because that's really, when we talk about holes, that's all it is. It's questions that haven't been answered, things that we haven't been shown or told. That's
and it's okay. It's okay to sow seeds. That's fine. Yeah. The problem is they put these pockets in there where they're like, ooh, what about this? Like
oh
Plagueis.
My gosh,
Plagueis coming around the corner.
He was in the cave with them the whole time. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
So, but see, okay. Let's try to figure out a thing where sowing seeds was actually done well and sowing seeds that was not done well. Plagueis coming out the cave like that, just kind of, just coming out like that wasn't done well, because think about it. It was the final episode, so we're not going to get any content afterwards.
Right.
And what was the purpose of showing that? Just being like, woo, Plagueis.
He's here. Like, we know he's here. We know what time period the shit's happening.
That's icing on the cake.
Is what we've been asking.
That's icing on the cake. No, I feel the passion. I'm just exactly that. It's icing on the cake. It's like, ooh, cool. But there's no substance. There's no substance to it. Now, how about let's look for one that actually does have substance? And I don't actually have something like off the top of my head. I'm trying to think of one.
If you want to think about it. Okay.
Oh, okay. Do you have one?
No, I was going to say I have another thing that was similarly. When they showed Yoda at the end. And I was just like, we fucking know.
Now I need to talk to you.
Why are y'all acting like this is a big reveal?
Now we need to speak to you. After this whole scenario of things, now we need to have a conversation as alluded by the master. I forget her name.
Again.
Now we need to involve you.
And we've talked about this. We have quite literally seen Yoda's capability as a Force user. At this point in time, Yoda's hovering around 700-800 years old. He has been running the High Council for a while. This man is clearly capable of sensing the death of Jedi from a very far distance. So when he hasn't sensed something like this in a long time, right? Because Sith ain't been around, right? And then all of a sudden, Masters is getting slaughtered. You better sense something, Master Yoda. Like, something's cooking. You know what I'm saying? So, now y'all gonna show him at the end, like, this is some big reveal. Even if they come back next season, it's like, I know everything that happened. Like, bro, okay, well then you was also there saying later that the Sith ain't been here. So if you knew, it's a problem. If you didn't know, it's a problem. So, like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here, Master?
The inaction of the Jedi is one of the biggest things that I knew that they were going to have to actually deal with in the show, and they didn't do it well. The thing that I was trying to think of was a good one where they sprinkled something in, and I did actually think of one. It may not be the strongest example, but it is an example. So again, Rogue One. There's a scene where they're all in the council. I want to say this is Mon Mothma and some of the rebel leaders. And I believe someone comes up to Mon Mothma and they're like, what are we going to do about something? Or we have a plan of what to do for all, the rebel activity and whatnot. And then you see Bail Organa. You see him just kind of step out the shadows. Mm-hmm. And then what that shows within that movie's own context is it ties back to the prequels. It's like, oh, Bail Organa. Oh, he had connections with the Jedi. Oh, he took Leia. And then at the very end of Rogue One, who do we see that receives the message about the Death Star?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Leia.
That's right.
And what's the last line that Bail has in that movie? He's like, you trust that person? He's like, I trust her with my life. That her was Leia.
Absolutely.
See, that's a payoff. That's a payoff for that type of like Easter egg. Because again, you are not to have any wasted time in a movie, and it's hard not to do.
Yeah.
It's like I said, right? Cornet Fox said it the best. It's an art. You're not always going to get it right. You're not all like it's a perfected art. But when it's done well, you will talk about it for ages. Why do you think King Arthur's legends are still talked about today? Why do you think Shakespeare's plays are still talked about today?
To this day, new ones. Like, Seven Deadly Sins and all that.
Freaking Lion King and Macbeth. Like, look, it's just...
and that's the thing. In its simplest form, there's the chicken example.
Yeah.
That's the simplest form, right? If in that simple as situation, I can interject things to
no. I want to make sure you flesh this out, and then I want us after this call to brainstorm and write a chicken movie and see if we can't hit millions and millions in the box office.
hey, look, but you see what's quick? The opportunity, the first scene, chicken on the side of the road. The opportunity for me to tell a good or bad story from that point on is crazy because there's only one variable, right? So I introduce another variable, right? That other variable can either be along the line or can introduce a ton of questions. So when you take a macrocosm of that, you write a complex story such as Star Wars, right? Or like anything else. You write a big complex story.
Like this other point we'll touch on before we wrap.
Said space monks, Mando, all this, there's all these things happening. Tons of opportunity to have questions there. But all the more reason why you show us things, right? Mm-hmm. That simple situation I told you about the chicken and the anvil, that isn't solved by the writer telling us who dropped the anvil. It's shown by the next scene showing somebody in a plane who was angry and tried blacksmithing on a plane, and then they shoved the anvil out. That answers the question. Yeah. It's stupid,
That's
right?
very easy.
But that in the scene answers the question. I now don't need to wonder how some shit happened.
I think at some points, was it one episode of that SpongeBob thing was like, how are you going to get food? Are we going to just fall out of the sky? And then, Mark, you remember this? It's like when I think Squidward was with SpongeBob and Patrick. It's like, we're just going to believe in the magic conch. Just wait. And they waited. So, we're going to food. And so, what if food? You just going to fall out of the sky? And the next scene was like, we're falling right out of the sky. Push off the food. And he pushed it off and landed. That was perfect. That took all of 5 minutes, maybe, to tell the story of how SpongeBob and Patrick got through believing in the conch and got some food. And we answered that question.
And that's making fun of that idea. That's just making fun of it.
And to tie into, we're getting ready to wrap, but to tie into this thing that everybody knows about, that everybody's been talking about, Marvel, y'all are not immune. Y'all have been dropping the ball too, and y'all are trying to get the ball back.
Yep.
But the question is, with the whole Jonathan Major situation and Kang, y'all have casted, or they've casted RDJ as Doom. And the internet's divided on whether or not this is an intentional buy into the superior the superior Iron Man story, or if this is just a safety net after the Jonathan Majors Kang situation. It could be both.
It could be both, honestly.
It could be both, and
could be.
We'll probably
could be both.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm saying we can only speculate right now, right? Because of course Marvel will keep lips tight, and hopefully somebody might leak it on Twitter in the next month or so about what they were really trying to do, because that's what people do. Then they get fired. But telling us what's happening, we'll just have to wait and see what they're doing. But here's what they presented to us with the state of Marvel and the state of storytelling in Disney. It's still, the ideas are still trying to hold on to legacy projects, holding on to catching lightning in the bottle, and all we can do is just critique them and hope that they do better.
That's right. And we got to challenge them to do it. We got to hold them to it, especially as media. We got to call a spade a spade. We got to call bullshit. And I get that. This is also definitely art. They're trying to reflect a bunch of comics and things like that. And Robert Downey Jr. Look, I'm sure he'll do a fine job. He can act.
That's not my problem. He's been Iron Man to me.
I'm worried about can they write some good shit. And that's what I've been skeptical about from Marvel for a long time. Like, they can't write a lot. Like, the writing has been poor. And that's
still looking for a Blade director. Lost his second one, but
still looking for a Blade director. Yo, Black Panther 2 was written well, in my opinion. I thought that was what made the movie really good.
Some people disagree.
But
Some people disagree.
I mean, I don't even think that's. Well, they can kiss my ass. That movie was written well. That movie was written well.
Opinions.
It was written and
It was. I think
Okay,
the
that's fine.
recast conversation is intertwined into that point. Yeah, that's all.
But it was also written from a perspective, like just like I said about the Jedi and how the Jedi, you know, we don't harp. A lot of time isn't spent spotlighting what was happening, right, with the Jedi and how they made mistakes. It's like a lot of time in Black Panther 2 wasn't spent harping on Shuri being ready to sacrifice all of Wakanda for revenge. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't spend a lot of time spotlighting that. Like, yeah, she the hero of the story, sure. But let's not forget she was ready to sacrifice all of Wakanda so that she could avenge her mama. Like, you not
That's
the
not
hero.
behavior.
You know what I'm saying? Like that was like let's be completely dead ass now. She had a terrible idea. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you know what? Didn't spotlight that. They was talking about how she was trying to fight what's his name, Namor. That whole ending fight was bullshit, but like that was what it was about. So when we talk about some of these stories and how they do things with intent. They focus on things for intentional reasons, and I thought that was fine. If they start focusing on the fact that, oh yeah, Shuri is trying to sacrifice all of her people, and this is really making her more of a tyrant and less of like a hero of Wakanda. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have a different movie. But I get why they're doing what they're doing. That isn't one of the biggest issues.
But I would say we'll hold on to that point because that goes into a different.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it still loops around to the concept of writing,
and that's why I'm like,
we'll have.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, that's because it does go into a different point. I think what we've seen is several movies, and not because it's not all of them.
Shang-Chi was good.
It seems like it's most of them. Shang-Chi was good. It seems like it's most of them. Like most movies nowadays. Like if a Marvel movie comes out, if 10 Marvel movies come out tomorrow, 2 of them, that's the truth. 2 gonna be fire, 3 gonna be mediocre, and the other ones ain't gonna be seen. Deadpool Wolverine just came out. 10 years ago we'd have seen it. 10 years ago we'd have seen it by now.
I'm lost count of how many of us there are. Out of the 5 of us, I think 5 of us, 6 if you include Too Tall, I think may have seen it. But half of the group has seen it, half of the group has not. We currently on this episode have not seen it yet because of time, not because of lack of wanting to, because of time.
Because of time, but also.
I'm wrong. I haven't seen it because of time.
No. I mean, Deadpool is also. I mean, we're pretty confident about
Ryan Reynolds
being good. Like Deadpool is one of the things that has been good as far as Marvel's concerned in a while, right? But also, it's about the draw. Like, yeah, we don't got time, but like we kind of made.
No, to touch on we, for me, like, we had time. It's like that was me and my boys made time because we had part-time jobs, working on full-time jobs.
Yeah.
Most of us were single at the time, so we get Saturday. What are you doing? Now we got most of us. Now we got jobs. We got side curriculum. We got a couple of us got kids, wives. Like it's different. Let
me tell you what I'm saying. The state of Marvel right now is not where it was then. This is my point. My point is the state of Marvel then. Marvel was a bigger draw. Now, still a big draw, no doubt about it. And yes, life does always get. But the state of Marvel as it is right now, look, let's say this Deadpool movie don't exist. Marvel's in chaos after this Jonathan Majors thing. We don't know what the fuck going on. You know what I'm saying? Without this Deadpool movie, which probably set some things up, I don't know, I ain't seen it, right? But like, we're not sure what's happening. We know the last thing we've seen in, what was it, the Marvels? Like, we know what that was, but again, like, that on Disney Plus. I wasn't necessarily impassioned to go see it in theaters, but I was hyped to see it. It was good. I did like it. You know what I'm saying? But Marvel, then, it wasn't no wait to see it later then. Marvel was in a better place then. So I think it is something that us who talk about it so often, many of us haven't made the time. I think it's an interesting thing. And I do think that the state of Marvel right now is such that I can see it later, and it won't be detrimental to my MCU experience.
One of the things that I've always said is that, again, bringing it all back to that lightning in a bottle conversation that we've had, Marvel, as a cinematic universe, has been going on for 10 years. They put it in their logo all the time. Mm-hmm. Audiences were locked in for 10 years. You need to write a dang good story to have them be locked in for another 10.
Yeah. And a lot of these actors are not going to live
to do it
forever. with that being said, I mean, we just gotta cut it there because honestly, we could just keep rapping here forever about that. But let's just see where the announcements have gone. Acolyte, possible season 2, RDJ, Doctor Doom. We're all going to be speculating online. But this has been Phuca-Pod, Phucaname, Phucaname. It's your boy Frosty Phoenix. Catch me across the web at Frosty Phoenix, FROSTYPHENIX. Corner Fox, Sonny Burns. He doesn't have social media, so follow us on Phucaname. And Mark's.
That's right.
And one true dude, Mark Stanley, who's a writer. I mean, Sonny and I, we dabble in, and we've all consumed this content. But Mark is going about that work and writing a story that he passionately cares about. Plug that real quick on just talking about those stories. Go ahead. What's that, Sonny? He is a writer. He's a writer.
He is a writer. He is a writer. I was gonna say,
and you're an actor, and I'm an aspiring voice actor. But without the content, we can't.
I got an IMDb page. I got credits. All right.
You want to be playing on the radar. I would ghost. The fact that I saw you kick that man in the face. Let me just tell y'all something. Let me gas this man up real quick. I saw the clip that he sent us in the group chat. We kicked somebody in the face in these loafers.
All right.
I'm just saying. But let me just go with Mark and we'll get ready to close. Don't get me started about you, sir.
Yeah. One true noob here. The story is The Order Sanctus. You can actually see it on theordersanctus.com. I will be periodically actually updating you guys on that story. It's still a thing, just trying to basically build a team so that I can get it out there, market it and whatnot. Really think you guys would enjoy it. If you want to see another pod too about me just talking about that story and how it came to be and what it's about, just let us know.
We should definitely bring you back for that further conversation on that. But that being the case, we don't have Desert Skies here, so I'll just say, Swoop! Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
All right. Well done.
Peace.